It was up. It's Yirmiyahu ben Israel. And we were talking about what's going on in France. Things are going crazy over there. Thought America was going crazy. Over there, they got trash in the streets. People have taken over, and it just looks like a movie. Actually, it looks like the Purge over there. This is all in response to the president Emmanuel Macron's promise to raise the national retirement age from 62 to 64. Excuse me. And it looks like the protesters are not having it. So, when people feel as though there's nothing that can be done, there's nothing that's being done for them, these things happen. We're going to read some of this article here that says, piles of stinking trash lay next to people sitting in Paris. Chick Street cafes, uncollected for days. Torched cars and burnt out tires litter some of the French capital's roads. Paris is no stranger to political and popular unrest, but in recent days, thousands have taken the streets and stormed police barricades, facing tear gas and water cannons in response. Protesters across the country are angry about President Emmanuel Macron's long-promised plans to raise the national retirement age from 62 to 64 during an acute cost of living crisis exacerbated by spiraling inflation. The French government says that with rising life expectancy, the reform is essential to ensure that the pension system remains intact, but the policy's critics are not convinced. Then it goes on to say, matter of fact, there's this a little joke that says, sanitation workers in Paris angry at plans to increase the retirement age from 62 to 64 are on strike, leaving piles of garbage to go uncollected. So those current workers who are in that age range, they're pretty angry that it's going to take them another 2 years to get into retirement. So that also contributes to the trash that's being left out in France right now, out in the streets. If you've seen the videos, again, it just, people out there looking like it's war times. It's, they're not relying on the government. They're going into, very barbaric measures in order to try to get their point across. But it's all part of the agenda that's going on. And they're choosing France as that demonstration to happen. And it goes on to say, their fury only increased after Macron, facing a divided parliament and lacking the support of the right-wing Republican Party, instructed Prime Minister Elizabeth Borne to invoke Article 49.3 of the Constitution on Thursday, allowing the legislation to pass without a vote for lawmakers. Thousands gathered Thursday in Place de la Corde, which faces the National Assembly building, and sporadic protests persisted into the night. Large plumes of black smoke rose early Friday over Gare du Lyon, a busy rail station on the eastern side of town. Protests also played out in many towns and cities, including Rennes in the west and the southern port city of Marseilles. Some 310 people were arrested. Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin said the next nationwide day of strikes, the eighth in the last 3 months, is set for next Thursday, unions have said. In the meantime, the piles of garbage littering Paris's famous streets are a very visible and pungent symbol of the anger felt by public sector workers over the pension plans. Paris City Hall estimates that there are 13,000 tons of it on the streets. The city's enormous tourist economy continued regardless, with tours of major sites ongoing, but the experience had some added and unwanted features. Doris Arcegul, navigating a small group of Brazilian tourists through the narrow cobblestone streets of the garbage-littered Fifth Arrondissement, told them to be careful of any rats, which are having a field day. It's very difficult to show the beauty of Paris to tourists with all the garbage and barricades. Arcegul, 53, told NBC News, Paris, beauty is completely covered up now. It's become too much. The anti-reform cause has also been enthusiastically taken up by young people who face working longer under tighter financial constraints. At the prestigious Lycée Henri the Fourth, actually, I think I said it right, school in central Paris. Around 100 students blocked the entrance Friday morning in protest of the policies of Macron, an illustrious former student. The stones throw from the 18th century Pantheon, the monument that houses the remains of the French philosophers Voltaire and Rousseau. The students clapped and cheered, wildly chanting, Macron, you're done, your high school is on the streets. I want to get my voice to be heard because it's the only way we can show we don't agree with what's going on. It's important for the young to tell what they feel because without a voice, you don't count, said Emma Menzicel, 16. Soren Lafarge, also 16, said the students were making their voices heard despite not having the right to strike or vote in elections. We are here to show we support the movement against the pension reform of the people, that we're all against that kind of system of democracy where you can pass a law without a vote, and that we advocate a better democracy, he said. This week's civil unrest was the capital's worst since the Gillette Jonas, or Yellow Vest, protests in 2018 and 2019, which are triggered largely by the cost of gas, but evolved into populist movement against Macron's centrist technocratic government. These protests ended in a partial U-turn, with Macron strapping a carbon tax rise, but there is much less chance of him reversing the pension age plan, which was a key manifesto commitment ahead of his re-election win last summer. And to finish off, it says, opposition lawmakers say they will present motions of no confidence in Prime Minister Born, who pushes the reform through, calling for her to resign. Parliamentary votes on this are expected over the weekend or on Monday. But even if they succeed in removing her from the office, Macron is unlikely to change course, according to Rainbow Murray, an expert in French politics at Queen Mary University of London. Macron is secure. He's elected on a 5-year term, but his reputation is damaged. This is obviously bad and not what he wanted. He wanted a parliamentary majority but couldn't achieve it. Murray said. Born, she added, risk being the scapegoat in order to cleanse himself of all this. Unlike most political leaders in such a febrile situation, it could be that Macron isn't all that worried, Murray said. He's well positioned to do this. He's a second-term president. He can't run for a third. And unlike pretty much every president before him, he doesn't care in the same way about his party's legacy because his party was created around him. His party is him, she said. I'm sure people within his party are concerned about this, but he doesn't have the loyalty to the bigger picture in the way that others do. Murray said, in a way, he's got political capital to burn, and he's burning it. And, that's about it right there. But this was going to happen regardless of who is in office and who is going to be elected. This is just their little test run on what's going on down there. Same thing with Florida, how they got that thing going on in Broward County. with those seashell animals or something of that sort. They have some type of lockdown in order to quote unquote because of these like sea creatures, like some type of like shellfish or something like that. There's like an outbreak, and they want to have a little shutdown. So again, they're gonna do what they want to do in the course of how they want to do it, regardless of who's in office or who's not. It's just part of the plan. And yeah, when it comes to these devils, they don't care. They're gonna make their little test runs and see how the public reacts. And this is exactly how France is reacting. But yeah, this is your Miyahu Ben Yisrael. I'm out. All praise to the Most High.